produce broadcastable material. And everyone has a camera these days, and the quality is it's astounding. But I think trying to make a living out of it is kind of difficult. But for me, it was just meeting the right people, having the desire to do it, and then meeting the right people, and I suppose getting on with them, and getting a few lucky breaks over the years.
Well, I think that's how most people get on in life, just being right place, right time, getting lucky, or should we say pushing the envelope is perhaps another way of putting it,
Yeah, I think, as much as I love my job, I think maybe there's a lot of people that might not be able to, cope with, the long periods of time that you have to wait, the discomfort that can come with it. So it's not, it's definitely not, it's an incredibly interesting job, as you'd imagine, but it's not in any way glamorous. The glamour, I was going to say the glamour stops when you walk off the plane. The glamour never starts. So,
no.
But, I think maybe that might weed out a few people that aren't really prepared to sort of give it what it needs. And, sometimes that can be sitting in a tiny little hide in, blistering heat, infested with mosquitoes for a month at a time, hoping that something's going to happen in front of you.
Yeah, I think everybody thinks they're a great photographer, and I think the problem is a lot of people are not great photographers now. Even as you said, we've all got our little cameras or our little phones and all this business. Everybody thinks, "Oh, I'm a great photographer," and you see obviously some of the evidence either on Facebook or on YouTube or both, and you think, "Oh my goodness," And but you've got two. I can't believe this. You're a greedy man. You've got 2 TV shows this year coming on. Well, on BBC. I think they're on as we speak, aren't they?
Yeah, one of them starts on Sunday night, and then that's Tribes, Predators, and Me, and then we've got another one called Into the Wild, which starts in a few weeks actually, maybe into April.
Okay.
But that's just last year was a really busy one, so I was filming right up until just before Christmas, and so it's kind of just been sitting back and waiting for all the kind of finishing touches to it, and they're hitting the TV in the next few weeks. And then
you're embarking. Instead of putting your feet up, you're embarking on a speaking tour, including a date in the area, which we'll talk about. It's called Lost Adventures, and it's, from what I understand, it's basically a one-man show, isn't it?
Yes, the series, the projects that I've worked on that have been most interesting, I think, really have been the expeditions, which was the programs or the projects that we took a team of scientists as well as filmmakers off to some distant place to find what was there, and it was they were the most, I suppose in many ways, the most revealing projects because we didn't really have much of a plan. It was to go to a location and try and find what was there. So the talk is really about those projects that have been the most interesting and I suppose the most challenging as well.
And is the chance for people to ask you questions? Is it?
Yes, no, that's for me, that's the best part of the night because I don't have to really think about anything other than coming up with a sound answer. But no, there's stories and stills and clips that maybe people wouldn't have seen, and also kind of good opportunity to actually just have a bit of a chin wag and ask me questions. And but no, it's so far it's been a really enjoyable thing to do because my job is quite reclusive, and I don't, through my work, I don't get to sit down and chat to people. So it's really nice to be able to travel around the country.
I've been to some of these shows where they get to ask celebrities questions and answers, and some of the questions you get asked are interesting.
Well, it's funny. Every place I've gone, I get I've got 1 or 2 questions that I've never been asked before. It's quite keeps me on my toes.
That's good. So you've travelled around the world. Where's the best place you've been filming and presenting?
I think the Arctic is the place for me at the moment. I first went to the Arctic a couple of years ago. Actually, no, a couple more than that, but 5-6 years ago, and then went back again in 2014, and then actually last week I was up in the Arctic, and it's just, I absolutely love it. It's the animals that are there, it defies belief how they're able to survive. I suppose that the extremes between the summer, the kind of short summer that the Arctic has, and the depth of winter, I absolutely love that, and there's a real sense of freedom that you get, because it's one of the few places you can go where there are very, very, very few people, and in some, most parts of the Arctic there's no one, and so I like that a lot.
That sounds great. I mean, I had the great pleasure a couple of years ago going to Alaska.
Oh wow!
And I loved it. I was up there. It was late September, not in 2014. It was actually, and I went up into the Yukon, and I just could not believe how diverse the landscape was. The snow was there, but then it was. I was up a place called Carcross. You may know it. It up in sort of the upper Yukon territory, and I was walking around in a t-shirt, and yet you look around, there was snow everywhere, and it was just one of those surreal experiences. I loved it. I managed to see eagles. I didn't see any bear, which I was rather pleased about, to be perfectly honest with you. And it was to me, it was a great experience. I loved it. I'd never been anywhere like that before, so I can empathise with the with the, so we say, the cold and the thing. I wasn't lonely because there was other people with me. We spoke about the best place. Where's the worst place you've ever been?
Oh gosh!
And don't say St Albans because you haven't been there yet.
Definitely not. Oh Lord, I think I've been to places that it's not really where you are; it's who you're with, and not naming any names. But I've had a couple of shoots that I was with people where there was just not, nobody was getting on, and that's no fun, because for me, really, you have to not just be able to enjoy the place. You have to enjoy the whole experience, and that includes the people that you're with. And it's like anyway, I suppose any working environment, whether you're in Alaska or whether you're sitting in an office in Slough, if you don't like working with people, it's not going to be particularly enjoyable.
I think we've all probably had that experience, so that's quite yes. You've done, obviously, covered everywhere. You've done tigers. You've done, you mentioned sort of up in the Arctic and that. What was the most frightening experience you've ever had? One you thought, this is my last, or I've had it now. Is there any sort of really frightening experiences, or? Quite a number, I suppose, over the years. Most of them, being in the hands of other people, not being confronted with by an animal. Things being out in rough seas and boats. I've had a couple of really scary experiences, and you think, actually, if we get out of this, we'll be lucky. People, probably the most scary thing I've ever done was getting into a car with a crazy driver in China, and and these really precipitous roads, and he was driving like a maniac, and it was a 2-day drive, and every time we told him to kind of slow down, he just would for a second, and then he'd speed up. But then you add on to that kind of being chased by elephants and bears, and it's a kind of hazard of the job. Every now and again, there's something that kind of makes you jump out of your skin. Yeah. Do you think growing up in the Isle of Mull influenced your sort of outcome? You being a sort of cameraman and sort of telling everybody about what's around you. Because it's a nice place, isn't it?
I think just growing up in a I suppose one of the wildest parts of the UK, and being influenced by that, and having not that much else to do other than explore the world about you. I suppose it is no surprise that I ended up doing this job, because I just always loved being outside, and the wild animals that are around you are just one of these things that I kind of enjoyed watching. So it's I'm sure if I hadn't grown up there, I wouldn't be doing this job.
No, it's what would you say so far has been the high point of your career? I mean, you've done lots of things, haven't you? So.
Oh Lord, I think I suppose just. Every year has its high points, and I think the working with the wolves up in the Arctic in 2014, I really, really loved that. It was an amazing place, an incredible animal, and we had such close proximity to them. They weren't scared of us, so it was a real privilege to be able to be in a special place with a special animal that wasn't scared of you. He was quite happy for you to be side by side with it. And normally, with wild animals, that's not the case. You spend a lot of time hiding and sort of trying to not let them know that you're there. So that, I would say, is it was a real highlight, and I kind of won that. I'd love to. If I can better that in the next couple of years, I'd be extremely happy.
Yeah, I mean, what's the over the time being a presenter and a cameraman? What's the most important thing you've sort of really learned? There must be sort of things when you first started out. You probably thought, I'll do this. Is there anything you sort of learnt and you could sort of pass on to other budding cameramen and presenters?
I think I suppose in life, persistence is the one thing. You can have patience, but if you have persistence, that is the thing that I think that wins out. If you're dedicated to the task, you will. Not to say everyone will get there eventually, but I think no one starts off being a brilliant anything. You have to kind of learn your craft, whatever it is, and if you're persistent and you stick with it, and I think that is the thing that if I ever meet any kind of a lot of young people come to the talks, and a lot of people that are kind of not even at the start of their career or even on the first rung, and I remember back to how it was when I was 17, 18, that kind of age, and you've got your whole life ahead of you, and it's an exciting time, but it's also a really daunting time, and I think it's sort of that snowball effect. If you do, you'll make mistakes, but if you do one thing and it's good, it will lead to another something else, and it just builds and builds and builds, and before you know it, you sit back and 20 years have gone by, and you think, oh God, I've been doing this job a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
It's gone quite well.
Well, you were lucky to have a gentleman called Nick Gordon, I believe, who sort of mentored you or sort of helped you on when you first started.
Yeah, no, he was my first boss and a real a close friend and my mentor, and he gave me sort of the big break, and I've got a huge. I was only 17 at the time, so I left school to start working as his assistant, and so everything that's kind of come after that, I really owe to him, because without that's the hardest. Some of the first. First jobs you ever get are going to be the hardest to win, because you don't have the experience, and that obviously kind of builds over time.
You're a greedy man. You've got two careers. You're a presenter and a cameraman. If you could only do one, which would you do and why?
Oh, that's a good. Do you know, I really enjoy doing both of them, but I suppose as a career, I would stick with the presenting and I'd do the photography as a hobby, because actually it's really nice to be able to go off. I love taking photographs and shooting stuff that's not necessarily for TV. So yeah, that'd be ideal. Kind of stick with presenting, but then just be a hobby photographer.
I mean, the man who's travelled the world. I mean, where would your ideal holiday destination be? If you were going away on holiday...
Our kids have got to that age that Wendy and myself, we've been taking them off on city breaks, which is actually, they're really nice, because we they're interested enough in they don't want to just sit on the beach and sort of play in the water. So we've been doing that quite a bit over the last couple of holidays. But when it comes to sort of summer holiday, we've been, just a beach somewhere lovely. We've been to Croatia the last sort of 2 years in a row, and that was great. And not much to do, just sort of lovely clear water, nice food, nice wine, and everyone, just all of us being together and chilling. So, no, nothing too adventurous, really. Yeah.
If you hadn't have done this career that you're doing now, what do you think you would have done?
Well, I did one of those tests at school where they pick a career for you, and once I put in all my information, it came up that I'd make a good nanny. So I'm not sure. I might have been a nanny. But failing that, I don't know. I think something outdoors, something that would have involved animals. I think that just I always loved it. Even before I knew of this, job as a career, I loved the idea of going to Africa and working on a game reserve. So I could have probably something like that. I would have probably, had I not got a break, I would have disappeared off with a backpack and my passport and tried to get a job working, in a game reserve as a ranger or something like that. Yeah,
those game reserves are fabulous. I've had the pleasure of going there and to South Africa, and some of the game reserves, it's just mind blowing. It really is. So, I had it happen to me, and I guess it's happened to you. Have you ever missed, should we say, a golden opportunity because you didn't have the camera with you or you wasn't ready? I had a golden opportunity many years ago when my late father-in-law, we were in the States and some bird did its business all down him, and it would have been great for the classic comedy show, that You've Been Framed, and typically my camera was in my pocket, I couldn't get it out. Is there any? Have you missed any great sort of a great bit of film that you wish?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's definitely something that happens. Fair